The PlayStation 3's launch had riots and robberies and long lines, gigantic buzz, but now that the console's been out for a little while, some say it's a whole other story. When it first launched 7 months ago, Sony's PlayStation 3 was poised to knock the Xbox 360 right off of its next-gen throne. Today, the PlayStation 3 is bringing up the rear in the console wars, with the loss of exclusive titles, a high price point that seems to be here to stay, and this week's departure of the father of PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi. New data now suggests that the future of the entire PlayStation line could be in jeopardy. For the month of May, the PlayStation Portable and the PlayStation 2 outsold the PlayStation 3 at a rate of almost 2-to-1. And there seems to just be one single reason why more PlayStation 3s aren't actually being sold. There just aren't enough good games being released. According to GameDaily.biz, the top 10 best-selling games in April were devoid of any PlayStation 3 titles. Will the PlayStation 3 be undone by sluggish sales and bad planning, or is it still too early to count Sony out of the race? Is this living? No. This is The Loop. All right, my guest tonight, co-host of X-Play, Dr. Adam Sessler is here, and gaming editor for Geek Monthly, Paul Semmel. Gentlemen, welcome back to the old loop. I think we should start with the latest news first, obviously. The father of the PlayStation, you just heard it, Ken Kutaragi, is leaving Sony. Kaz Hirai is taking over, and now apparently Kaz is going to deliver 380 new PS3 games and add-ons by March, 145 of which should actually see the light of day here in the States. With that said, Paul, take it away, buddy.
Well, you know, that's a nice number, but the question I have is how many of them are PS3 exclusives? Because that's what's really going to sell the system. I mean, if you're talking about Madden and GTA, well, you know, they're coming out on the Xbox as well, so those are going to help Xbox sales. Right?
Yeah, I would have to definitely agree. It's really about the exclusives. I am seeing some good exclusives that is coming out of Sony, but I think there's so much bad press that they've caught on to that I don't even know if these numbers that they're putting out are really going to help. I do think Kutaragi leaving is a good thing. Sure. I think that he really misdirected that company terribly and got them into the mess they're in.
But Paul, now do you think all this bad press that Adam is talking about, is it deserved or is it all hype?
I think some of it is deserved. They've certainly made some big mistakes. I mean, the navigation on the PlayStation Network is just terrible. And quite frankly, they haven't really kind of mined the back catalog the way they should have. But I think some of it is also just bad luck. And some of it, quite frankly, is, you know, just the Wii doing much better than anybody could have expected.
Overshadowing everybody. Well, the latest U.S. monthly sales numbers for video game consoles came out last week. And you almost have to sort of feel sorry for the PS3, again, when it comes to the States. Sony stands to lose $500 million with its game division this year, according to the Financial Times. Now, Adam, how much longer can Sony afford to keep this up before they have to seriously change their game plan?
Yeah, that's a really big question. I think it's one that we're going to see answered very quickly because I think they felt comfortable with the $600 price tag of the system, thinking that people still wanted it for the Blu-ray player and that, you know, they wouldn't take as big a loss, they would get it in on the games. What's now obviously true is that people aren't that interested in buying that system at that price. They're going to have to cut the price on this, and they're probably going to have to cut it quite severely. I assume we'll hear this.
The PSP is outselling the PlayStation 3.
The PSP?
Yeah, it's outselling the PlayStation 3.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, that doesn't even surprise me either. It's cheaper than a $600 console that has bad press and one standout game on it. It's unfortunately, they just don't have a good reason to compel people to buy the PS3.
Now, Paul, you were here hanging out in the loop right around launch time, and you said that this was, it's Sony. We should all take a wait-and-see approach. I mean, you waited. Did you imagine you'd actually be seeing what you are right now?
Not this bad, no. But then I didn't expect the Wii to be selling this well. In fact, I don't think even Nintendo thought that. I still have a wait-and-see attitude, at least until after the holiday season, because a lot can change in, the next 6 months or so. I don't know that it will. Wouldn't put money on it, but it could.
Now, Adam, what do you think's hurting that? I mean, it seems that even people who own the PlayStation 3 aren't buying the games that are out there now. I mean, if you listen to GameDaily.biz, again, the top 10 best-selling games were for the Wii or the DS. 4 were on the 360. 2 were for the PlayStation 2. Is this the installation base that's just hurting the cross-platform title sales, or is it something
I think
bigger?
it comes down to that there really aren't that many good games. There are better movies on Blu-ray than there are games on Blu-ray right now. Now, all that has to change is there needs to be some good games. And I think I agree with Paul on this one completely. I think we need to wait to the end of the year. I think once we finally start to see some actual high-def looking games coming out of Sony, and we have a price drop coupled with that, we might really see what the tolerance level is for the consumer base.
Now, do you believe we're going to see a price drop soon, Adam?
I think with Howard Springer's comments that they are deeply researching how deep they can cut that price, I'm pretty certain that we're going to hear it, and we're going to hear it soon. They've got to get that message out there.
All right, so Paul, we keep hearing the they need games echoing, off the halls, but I feel that at the end of the day, you got to give them credit for trying to at least add value to the system itself. I mean, they've got Home coming up, they got feature-rich firmware updates. It's clear that they're at least trying, and hell, the 360 still doesn't have a web browser, so you got to give them that. But do you think any of these things are going to convert Xbox owners or bring new gamers into the next gen, or is it still all about the killer apps?
I think it's about the killer apps. I mean, who's using their game system to surf the web? I mean,
I browse YouTube on the Wii.
Now.
I do browse YouTube on the Wii because it's there, and I can't do it on my 360, but...
Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Maybe you want to watch a YouTube video on your high-definition television, but how you're not going to buy the machine just for that.
True.
And the home thing, I'm not a 12-year-old boy. I don't want to be creating some weird avatar and walking around. I want to shoot Nazis. I want to leap off buildings and kill people, and do that in really great high-definition graphics that I can't get.
And
on
Adam's
any other
agreeing,
system.
but Adam, what if you're like me and you love hanging out with 12-year-old boys?
Well, then you're kind of creepy.
Okay, fair enough. Final word.
I think what it comes down to, though, is especially with Home, is that they're thinking that the base that they have for the PS2, which can't afford this console, are the ones who are buying the PS3, and then they've completely gotten their wires crossed on who is actually their consumer base.
All right, final word. Actually, we'll go to Paul for this one. Sony at E3, will everyone be naysaying? Are they going to eat their words? What's going to happen at E3 when it comes to Sony?
Well, that's really up to Sony. If they come out and they announce a ton of really great exclusive games that look really, really good and say they're all going to be out, before the holidays or right after the holidays, then it's a very different picture than if they come out and say, well, we have this game that's also coming out on the 360 and it looks the same, and we have Home. Or, quite frankly, if they're arrogant about it. I mean, if they come out and they're like, well, there's nothing wrong. We don't know what you people are talking about. Everyone is just going to make fun of them for it. And then that's the end of it.
All right, I'm way out of time, but Adam, yes or no, are they going to be arrogant or are they going to change their tune?
I don't think they can be arrogant anymore, and they haven't been.
All right, I want to thank my guests, Paul and Adam, for joining us in the Loop. We appreciate your time, guys. Adam, of course, is going to stick around to answer your questions live via Stickcam a little later in the show, so be sure to visit our profile at stickcam.com/profile/AOTS. Don't get lost. Once you're logged in, just click on our live video window to enter.
Attack of the Show, weeknights at 7, only on G4.